I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Living life just like I should. Wouldn't change it if I could. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Living life just like I should. Wouldn't change it if I could. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Trying to figure out who I am or who I'm supposed to be. Feel good about where I stand so I can make the most of me. I'm coming back down from space, a million miles away. There's a lot of love in this place, and I'm just trying to say I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Living life just like I should. Wouldn't change it if I could. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Living life just like I should. Wouldn't change it if I could. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Been a long time living this way, worrying about what people say. Feeling like I don't fit in, but I won't give up, no I won't give in. Been looking for something more. What you really looking for? It's been with you since you were born, since you were born. You're good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Living life just like I should. Wouldn't change it if I could. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Living life just like I should. Wouldn't change it if I could. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Live once, fight with myself. I'm there for my friends till the very end. You only live once. I'm good with myself. I'm there for my friends until the very end. I want to see another love revolution. Find a way to be a better person. If we come together like we should, we could all be good. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Living life just like I should. Wouldn't change it if I could. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Living life just like I should. Wouldn't change it if I could. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good.
Good morning. This place, and in all places and all people. And just as this beautiful spring sun has awakened us to, so I invite you now to take a deep breath, become comfortable, and gently release any cares of the day. Because your sole purpose at this moment is to experience the divine. And you begin to do so now as you relax in this sacred time and space at Unity Spiritual Center. Seeing through eyes of oneness, acknowledging our oneness, we at Unity Spiritual Center celebrate and honor people of every culture, of every creed, of every religion, of every race, of every age, and every lifestyle, knowing that there are many paths to God, many faces of God, many names for God, but only one God. And that God is expressing through all people in unique, special, and individual ways. As you look at the flame of the candle that we light every Sunday, remember that you too have a divine flame within, that you have a spark of God, that you are an individualized expression of God. We honor the one presence and power of God with Unity's foundation statement, which you'll find on the screen behind me. And I invite you to join with me in saying it aloud together. There is only one presence and one power, active as the universe and as my life, God the good, omnipotent. We give thanks for our spiritual community and for the beauty of our spiritual center. We give thanks that Unity Spiritual Center is a welcoming, warm, and inclusive community dedicated to studying and putting into practice empowering principles and tools for happiness, health, prosperity, and successful living. We give thanks that with our spiritual teachings, we can create extraordinary lives and a peaceful planet through our relationship with the loving God presence within each one of us and through our relationships with one another. Our vision and the opportunity for each one of us here is that you discover the power within you to create the life of your dreams, that you have peace of mind and deep happiness, that you enjoy joyous and loving relationships with yourself, with spirit, and with others, that you spend your days doing what you love and feel called to do, and most of all, that you know that your life matters, that you make a difference, and that the world is a better place because you're here. Is there anyone visiting us for the first time? Just raise your hand. Anybody for the first time? Okay. So what we like to do when somebody is visiting us for the first time is hand out a shell lay, which has a lovely affirmation on it that says, just as God has a design for every shell in the sea, God also has a design for your life. And we also hand out packets of information about Unity in general and Unity Spiritual Center in particular. I'm always happy to talk about Unity, whether you've been here 1 or 2 times or whether you've been here 1,000 times. It's always a wonderful way to connect and to talk about these wonderful teachings that we have. So if you'd ever like to talk, please do, or I should say please don't, hesitate to contact me, and you will find my contact information printed on everything that we put out here. So at this time, as we move into the meditative part of our service and prepare to raise our voices in song, I will ask that you will turn off your cell phones or any other electronic devices if you haven't done that already. And I will turn it over to our music maestro.
This one goes way back. If this one isn't in the back of your head, I don't know if you lived in the United States during that time. I don't know. That's one of my earliest memories from church, period, all the way back. So there's been many different versions and lyrics of this tune, and we've decided to make it personal to community. And we're talking about us. We have this together. We can make it happen because it's in us, and we're going to let it out. So we're going to see a little bit of a lyric adjustment, which I think is correct.
Don't you think they need to stand up, Michael?
I do. Actually, I would also like to see if, Ruben, if you want to play a little percussion or whatever, this is the right tune for this kind of thing. You'll be fine. We got the whole world in our hands. 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 We got our sisters and our brothers in our hands. We got our sisters and our brothers in our hands. We got our sisters and our brothers in our hands. We got the whole world in our hands. We've got the little tiny babies in our hands. We got the little tiny babies in our hands. Got the little tiny babies in our hands. We got the whole world in our hands. And we've got everybody here in our hands. We got everybody here In our hands we got everybody here. In our hands we got the whole world in our hands. We've got it. Here we go. The whole world. In our hands we got the whole world. In our hands we got the whole world. In our hands we got the whole world in our hands. A cappella now. We got the whole world. In our hands we got the whole world. In our hands we got the whole world. In our hands we got the whole world in our hands. Up a key. We got the whole world. In our hands we got the whole world. In our hands we got the whole world. In our hands we got the whole world in our hands. And that is a true statement. It's our hands, our brains that make this thing work. That's how it goes.
That's how it goes. Thank you to our percussionists.
Yes.
So now as we continue to get comfortable in our seats, relaxing even more deeply into this time of worship, of prayer and meditation, let us open our hearts to receive the message of today's daily word. The word for the day is world peace. Is there anyone who would like to read today's daily word? All right, Kathy. The daily word will be read by our USC Board President, Kathleen Russell.
Good morning, everyone. The word for today is world peace. I walk in harmony and acceptance with all beings. These words by Sufi poet Rumi speak to a sense of oneness and harmony among all beings. Out beyond ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When news from throughout the world seems less than harmonious, I reaffirm myself that peace is possible. In a quiet, prayerful moment, I affirm words of truth. One with all beings, I radiate peace to the world. I let these tranquil words seep deeply into my being and reflect on what they mean to me. I completely embody peace, for peace is my true nature. I am one with all things. My peaceful thoughts, words, and actions support my relationships and with all people and help to create a world that works for everyone. And the quote for today is, "Finally, beloved, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things." Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Unity Spiritual Center is a center of prayer and healing. As most, if not all of you know, we have a communal prayer box that we place on the back table, and there are green prayer request forms placed next to it. And you are always invited to fill out a prayer request form and place it in the box. But let's just take a moment right now to hold in our hearts all of the prayer requests that are in that box and all of the prayer requests that are in the hearts of our community, which just haven't made it on paper yet. Let's just hold everyone in our hearts and know that whether the prayer has been written or unwritten, we affirm that divine love is enfolding each person represented in that prayer chest and in our community, and that divine order is taking place in all of their lives. The prayer requests that are placed in that box are prayed on by me and our USC prayer team for 30 days. And then we forward them to Silent Unity at Unity's World Headquarters where they're prayed on for an additional 30 days. And as I said, the prayer request forms are in the back on green paper. Some of you may also have received a prayer letter in the mail. We have brought that practice back. So we make a list of people in our community, and each day a particular person in our community is prayed for. If you have not gotten that letter, or if you would like to be on that list so that you know that you will have a dedicated day on which we pray just for you, please note that on one of our prayer request forms, because we would love to add you to our list. We also have a time in our service where we make our prayers audible, and this is that time. So after we sing the introduction to the song, which Michael will lead us through, you're invited to speak your prayer needs aloud to your spiritual family here so that we can support you and stand with you. And after each prayer request is said aloud, we will answer by saying, "Your prayer is my prayer too."
We are connected by the heart. Where do you win? Where do I start? Whatever you feel, I feel too. You're a part of me, I'm a part of you. Your prayer is my prayer too. 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 Your prayer is my prayer too.
We also have a time in our service where we can share those things that we're grateful for, that we feel particularly blessed by, our joys and our thanksgivings. This is your time to share that with your spiritual family.
And I'm thankful that my trip to Houston was successful. Daughter and son and father all in good shape and all kind words amongst each other. And one more thing, I'm glad that Rose likes older men. So blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed.
We give thanks for this opportunity to bless and to be blessed in spirit. We give thanks for the feelings of connection, of peace and warmth that fill our hearts and minds right now. We give thanks for the privilege of praying for others in our community, in our city, in our nation, and around the world. And we affirm that no matter what appearances are, always and in all ways, divine love and divine order is everywhere present. At Unity Spiritual Center, your prayer is our prayer too. Amen.
In our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I have things you need to borrow, for no one could fill all those needs that you won't show. Oh, come on for tomorrow. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me, call me, call me, call me. If you need a friend, call me. If you need a friend, call me, call me, call me.
Was such a great song to lead into what we're going to be talking about, which is about being friends to each other. It's about community. So as you know, you've been here before. We look at a different topic each month, and this year we're looking at the words in our mission statement. And we call ourselves a spiritual community. So this month we've been looking at what community is, what it can be, what we want our community to be. And today we're going to look at how we can strengthen our community. Now, I realize that this isn't a particularly sexy subject. I was at a party last night and we were talking about what I was going to speak on today, and I said community, and kind of a little bit of silence right there. Like, okay, well, good luck with that. So I understand that there's something about the word maybe that seems a little distant, but it actually comes from a root word that means common, what we have in common, and it's something that we all want, right? We all want community. I think more so now than perhaps even before. Isn't it true that we want to find people who are like-minded, like-hearted, that we want to learn from each other and grow from each other? You know, particularly in a spiritual context. And I've always sort of laughed at the image of the guru on the mountaintop who, you know, has all the answers, because I've always thought, well, it is easy to be spiritual when you're up on a mountaintop and you don't have any distractions. You're not dealing with traffic. You're not dealing with jobs. You're not dealing with kids. You're not dealing with anything other than your own reflections. You know, pretty easy to be spiritual in that context, right? But it's harder. It's harder when we live in the real world, when we live in the modern day world, and we have all of those things as elements of our lives. You know, we're constantly bombarded by different kinds of stimuli and different, you know, needs and roles and responsibilities, things we have to do, and it can be harder to remember who we really are. And I think that's one of the reasons why our book study classes have been so successful, is because in that context, you know, in a small group of people, we get really down and not dirty, but we get really down, and we talk very honestly about some of the, you know, some of the challenges that we have in integrating our spiritual practices into our very busy modern day lives. So it's an important thing to talk about, and we're going to spend a little time doing that today. Now, one thing that really interested me a lot, because it's so ironic, is that when I started researching the subject, and I just, you know, typed in the search words, strengthening community, almost every article that popped up, not all, but almost all, that popped up were about strengthening online community, which just totally blew my mind. Isn't that ironic? That it's about how to create communities online for your brand, right? So how to foster connections through the computer. that's not what we're going to talk about today, although we are not, in the backwoods regarding those particular outlets. We do have a Facebook page. If you didn't know that, you should check us out. We do have a Twitter account. I don't use it very often, but I've got one. We are on Pinterest. We are on YouTube. And pretty soon as it's live, I'm going to introduce to you an app. We're going to have a downloadable app. It's currently listed in the iTunes store, but it's not working yet. It's not functional, but it will be soon. And as soon as it does, I'll let you know. You'll be able to download this app, and literally at your fingertips, you will be able to watch the videos of our services. You'll be able to find out what's happening. You'll be able to read that day's daily word. So we are no stranger to technology, and technology can be our friend for sure. And it can be a great way of forming community. I'm very active on social media, and I've been amazed at some of the personal connections that I've made through online communities that were developed around a particular interest. But there's no substitute for being in person. There really isn't. We don't want to lose that when we have these technological gains, because, being, side by side with real flesh and blood, being able to calibrate to their energy, to ask questions that might be relevant, to learn from their wisdom, it's something that can't really be done as successfully and as connectedly. I'm going to make up that word if it's not one already. It's hard to connect in a really deep way when you're online and when you have the anonymity of a screen. So, doing this research, thinking about this idea, how do you strengthen community? I did find a wonderful article that I'm going to reference. It was written by a woman, I think, named Sally Sampson, who was the CEO and president of United Way in Dallas. And she had this, wonderful article, 7 Ways to Strengthen Community. I'm going to read you, or I won't read it to you, but I will discuss with you 4 different ways in which she says that we can strengthen community that is relevant, I think, and applicable to spiritual communities. Now, the first one is kind of interesting, given that when we started at 11 o'clock, I think there were maybe 8 people here in the sanctuary. The first thing she says is, we before me. We before me. So what might that mean in a spiritual community? We before me. I'll pose a couple of ideas. I think it means thinking of the community first, even if it involves a little bit of effort or even a little bit of sacrifice. There are people here who are volunteering every single week. If you've enjoyed the hospitality, know that it's because Rosa and Candy and sometimes Sylvia and Teresa are in there every single week preparing that for you. Or Marcy, who not only has bought the program of creating software, these slides for us, but, creates them and makes them project on the screen every week that she's in town. So those are people who very clearly are thinking, we before me. I'm sure it's not convenient for all of those people to do that every week, but they have made that decision to do that. And so what I want to pose to you, this was something I thought about before today, but then I thought, well, gosh, I've got a visual aid right here in the room, is that one of the things you can do is just show up. Just show up can do a whole lot for your community. Now, I'm going to say that obviously I'm preaching to the choir because you're here. But what I find kind of challenging is that pretty much every Sunday we have new visitors, and there will be, 30 people in the room, sometimes 40, sometimes 50, but, generally speaking, 30 to 35. And I can't say to them, we have more people who come, they're just not here today. So people walk in the doors and they think, wow, not a very big community, right? Because people are not showing up regularly. Now, I know, and I know this as somebody who has outside interests, friends, a child, a family. Life gets in the way, and sometimes you can't always make it. But I would really like to kindly challenge you to upping it just by one, okay? So if you attend once a month, can you make it twice? And if you attend twice a month, can you make it 3 times? And if you attend every Sunday, like some people do, like Ron does, well, God bless you. And we thank you for being such a strong part of our community. Because isn't it nice to have people like Ron around? Yeah, a stalwart of our community. And all of you can be too. And we need all of you. We really, really do. Because you have things to share. And you don't know what you might say or do for another person, on the day that you show up that can make a big difference for them. Even just a smile. Your presence is a present. So I just want to encourage you to think about that, to realize that when you show up, it is giving a gift not only to our community, it's strengthening not only our community, but it's also giving a gift to yourself. Because usually, right, if you're in a relationship with a person, don't you feel closer to them if you spend more time with them? It just makes sense, Yeah, you do. It's hard to feel close to people when you just see them once a month or even less. So I'd really like to have this touch your heart, that's a very powerful, simple, and not incredibly sacrificial way that you can strengthen our community. It's just come one more time a month than you already do. The second thing that Samson says, or a second thing that Samson says about strengthening community is to change the way things are. Why is that? She said, because communities are living organisms. They're living organisms. They're not supposed to stay static. They're not supposed to, be stagnant. And if you've been around at all, I think you know that I welcome new ideas. And I myself have tried many different things. And I will keep trying many different things because that's how you figure out what's resonant with people, what they feel supported by and really want. So part of this we tried last Sunday with the questionnaire is I put out a questionnaire for people to sort of assess where we are and maybe include ideas for what they'd like to see. We still have questionnaires in the back, so if you weren't here last Sunday and you'd like to put your 2 cents in, please do. It's in the back, and there were some really great ideas. So I will compile those and I'll report back to you. But know that right now you are in a community that is living, that is responsive, that, will try new things because, for one thing, I personally find it fun, right? It's fun to try new things. We're going to try a new thing today. We are going to combine our potlucks, which we have been doing sort of historically, with our open mic event, which we unrolled last year. And it's really fun. And we thought, well, why not put those 2 things together? We'll have people that get to eat good food at the potluck while watching, the gifts of people in our community. So I hope you'll join us for that new event. And just know that if there's something you'd like to see, if there's something that you're missing or a way that you want to connect that we haven't thought of yet, bring it forward. Bring it forward because this is a culture that is very open to new ideas. A third thing to support communities, and this may sound paradoxical as well in conjunction with this idea of we before me, but Samson says that another way to build a strong community is to thine own self be true. Now, what does she mean by that? She doesn't mean, just get what you can get and don't think about giving. What she means by that is show up authentically. That it's hard to feel a part of a community. It's hard to really strengthen a community if people are hiding behind a persona that they think they need to have. I think especially in church settings and spiritual center settings, we perhaps carry a conception of what a spiritual person looks like, or what a spiritual person should be like. And I'll tell you, there is no quicker way to, work with that little paradigm than to be a minister, And that was another thing that I experienced last night at this party. Oh, what do you do? I'm a minister. It's like people like, oh. And you could just kind of see, like the assumptions and the stereotypes, perhaps, that they're trying to lay on you. And I know that that's true, too, of just saying I have a spiritual life or I'm interested in spirituality. People tend to think, well, that should look a certain way. Well, it's going to look different for every single one of us because we're all individuals, right? And we're going to show up as spirits in our human body in different ways. And what I'm interested in is a community in which we all feel safe to be ourselves. To be ourselves. I don't want anybody to feel like they have to hide behind a veneer of faked spirituality. The good thing is I don't think we really do. I think we are pretty authentic here. But I just want to say that if you have not felt complete permission to really show up as yourself, I just gave it to you. Okay? Yeah. We're real people, and we want to show we're real spirits in a human incarnation, and we want to show up as the individual incarnations that we are. And they become strong. Communities come strong when we feel like we can do that and we don't have to hide. Plus, we want to show up more, right? So the fourth thing that I'm going to talk about that Samson says strengthens communities is to embrace a larger purpose. Obviously, as a spiritual community, I think that we do that. We're here to grow spiritually. We're here to deepen our connection with the divine of our understanding. And as I talked about last week, we're here to experiment and explore what it means to, be a part of the body of Christ. I mean, that's the Christian term for being part of a community, but it's a really interesting concept. And the thing is that we grow spiritually by being with people. Just like I was talking about, the guy on the mountaintop, the guru on the mountaintop, he has it easy. Sometimes in a community we're going to have little dust-ups or, we might get on somebody's nerves. And that's part of our spiritual growth. It's like, okay, well, how do I work through that? How do we work through that and stay a part of this community? And how do we learn spiritually from whatever interpersonal, altercation we might have had? Again, I don't think this happens often in our community. I think this is a very loving community. From my perspective, it is, and people are very warm and embracing, and it's something that we can take pride in as a community is our inclusivity, how everybody is welcome. But one of the strengths of our community is that we can grow, one of the strengths of a community is that we can grow through our interactions with others. So that's a larger purpose of our community too, in addition to our own personal spiritual growth. Now, I ran across a really interesting article, and I just want to share this one statistic with you. There was a special edition put out by Time magazine called "Does Spirituality Make You Happy?" So, basically they said it does, but maybe not for the reasons that you might think. It talked about the power of the group, the power of community, that's one of the things that make people happy in their spiritual exploration. It's about being around like-minded, like-hearted people. And there was a sociologist who did research on this, like how do people rank themselves in terms of happiness if they go to a spiritual center. And he found that 1/3 of people, 33%, who attended religious services every week and reported having close friends at church said they were extremely satisfied with their lives, extremely satisfied by going to church every week and creating friendships with people in their community. And interestingly, only 19% of those who went to church but had no close connections reported the same satisfaction. So it's about the people, and it's about the connections you're making. It's about the community that leads to happiness. And then there was this wonderful quote, which I'll share with you. To me, the researcher said, the evidence substantiates that it is not really going to church and listening to sermons that make people happier. It's like, great, all right. So I'm obsolete already. But he said, it's making church-based friends and building intimate social networks there. That's what creates the sense of happiness. And we see it, right? Two beautiful friendships, or actually they're multi-generational, that come immediately to mind that are very joyous to observe are Richard and Annette and Josephine and Reuben and their kids. So they come to church, and the adults are friends with each other, and the kids are friends with each other, and it's so exciting to see. And that's what we want to see more of. We want to see these connections. We want to see how we can support each other in lots of different ways. So let's continue the great work that we've already started. I think we are a very successful community in many, many different ways. That was feedback that was on a lot of the forums. It's like, I love this place. This place feels so warm. It's, full of wonderful people. So we want to continue all those good things that we're already doing, but I think we can strengthen it even more. And so I just wanted to give you these ideas on maybe how we can do that, how we can co-create the kind of community we want, not only here, but also in our city, in our nation, in the world. God knows we need to create communities in places other than a single building, right? I think it may really be our call as spiritual beings in a human body at this time in our world's history. So I'm going to quote something, a wonderful woman, who I'm sure you've heard this quote before, or many of you have, somebody who I actually met. I was lucky enough to meet her when I was 18, and unfortunately I was too young to really understand what a incredible privilege that was. But the late cultural anthropologist Margaret Mead, people have heard of Margaret Mead, she said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world or change our spiritual center. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. There's strength in community. And so it is. Amen. So I'm going to let you take that a little bit deeper, those ideas. And as Valerie turns down the lights, I invite you to sit back in your seat. Just feel that chair back hold you. Feel the floor beneath your feet. Take a few slow, deep breaths. And if it feels comfortable, to close your eyes. And I invite you now to think of someone or something that you love totally, unconditionally. Just think of a being in your life. Could be a human being, it could be a pet. Just something that you have in your life that you love unconditionally, that you feel loved by. now think of all of those in your life as you've gone through the years, who you have loved and who you know have loved you. And just be aware in this moment of what a gift love is. What an incredible gift love is. Just feel that warmth in your heart as you remember and think of your loved ones. So now I invite you to imagine as clearly and lovingly as you can your connections to the rest of humanity, to nature, to whatever spiritual forces and images of sacredness are meaningful to you. And just feel how those connections enhance your presence by enabling you to be part of a larger wholeness, a wholeness that is graced with compassion, love, and intelligent, wise awareness. And feeling that presence, that energy, that compassion and love and wisdom. Just imagine that you're overflowing with that energy, that it radiates from you like a beautiful golden light and spreads to everyone all around you. And feel yourself respecting and honoring the light of those around you. And now imagine it spreading from you and from others around you, your kindred spirits here in the sanctuary. And see it flowing out into the community, flowing out into this nation, flowing out into the entire planet. And imagine that beautiful golden light drawing together in peaceful connection, collaboration, community, those who have been split apart. Whether by politics, ethnicity, religion, geography, just notice that beautiful golden light drawing together all those who are feeling disconnected. So holding this vision, this beautiful golden light, connecting people, bringing them together, dwelling in peace together. Notice if there's a specific area of conflict in your life, in your personal life, that you wish to direct that energy towards. If there's something going on in your personal life, just visualize that conflict just dissolving into peace and agape, brotherly love. So knowing that you can return to this feeling at any time, that you can remember and revisit this beautiful golden light. Imagine before we return together that your very being radiates that light, like a lighthouse. Imagine yourself like a lighthouse with a beacon of this beautiful golden light that spreads peace and calm, forgiveness, love, compassion outward. So imagine these waves of light, not only from you, but from all of those in this room, for other people who are light workers in our world. Just imagine that beautiful light joining out with others, and that we're weaving a web of light. Imagine a golden web of light just blanketing our whole planet, empowering all of us everywhere. And having rested in this beautiful golden light, knowing that it's within you, feeling it all around you, knowing that you can return to it at any time. Begin now to return to this place and time, the outer sanctuary. Perhaps move your fingers and your feet. Perhaps taking another few deep breaths. And when you're ready, coming back to waking consciousness and opening your eyes. Well, I feel good. Do you? Can I hear a witness? Good, good. That's what we're here for. We're here to feel good, to feel in community, and guess what? We've got even more fun to share. So before we do, let us just remember who we are as a community, because we do offer positive, practical, progressive spiritual teachings and tools that honor the universal truth in all religions, that respects each individual's right to choose a spiritual path that is meaningful to them. And here at Unity Spiritual Center, we do have an inspiring vision, exciting mission, and compelling values by which we strive to live. And I invite you to say these aloud with me together. Our vision is centered in God. We co-create a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. Our mission is we are a creative, joy-filled spiritual community dedicated to healing, inspiring, and transforming the lives of all people through prayer, meditation, and love. And our values are: we are spirit-led, generous with resources, inclusive, joyously creative, and guided by integrity. And in this space, feeling inspired by our vision, mission, and values, feeling enriched by what we've experienced here today, let us take time now to be a channel for enrichment through our generous tithes and love offerings. Practicing the principle of tithing ourselves as a spiritual community, we are pleased to tithe 10% of the offering collected today to our Rejuvenated Community Relief Fund. It's important to be able to share resources with those in our community. So we are looking at avenues in which we can create a larger resource to do that. And we will be donating 10% of what we collect today directly toward that fund. So let's take a moment now to bless our tithes and love offerings, placing them in our hands or next to our hearts, as we say our offertory prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
rising up. We're in the key of D. I said, people get ready, there's a train a-comin'. Don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. Yeah. People get ready for the train to Jordan, picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key, open the doors and board them. There's room for all among the loved and lost. Now there's always room for the helpless and homeless when life has been hard and feels so unkind. Have pity on those whose chances seem hopeless, 'cause there's no better place than the kingdom's throne. So people get ready, there's a train a-comin'. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. I think I want to sing that again. Is that okay? A little higher. Here we go. I said, people get ready, there's a train a-comin'. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. You don't need no ticket now, you just thank the Lord. We give thanks for the many blessings that are in our church this very moment. We open ourselves to the infinite possibilities that are ours to choose. We're filled with a mighty faith that empowers and frees us to live our divine purpose and serve our community with excellence. And so it is.
So just a few announcements that I want to make. As I mentioned, our fifth Sunday potluck and open mic is today, so I need a couple of things. If directly following the service, a few of you could stack the chairs, and why don't we go like halfway down? We don't have to stack all the chairs, but maybe the first half of the sanctuary, if you can just stack them against the wall, and then we'll set up tables so that people can come back in here. We're actually going to set up the food, the potluck up here, and you'll have a place to sit down and watch all the wonderful entertainment that we'll put on stage starting around 12:30. If you hadn't planned in advance, if you don't have something to share, well, that's what smartphones are for. You can Google something quick, a poem that you love, a song that you love, a joke that you love. Anything's fair game. We just want to see your presence, your beautiful presence up here. And those of us who have been attending these since we started them, I think it was last year, but actually maybe it was the year before. But it's a really special thing just to see what people come to share, what moves them, what talents they have. And I know you've heard me tell the story about how it was either Alonso or Santiago decided to hop on one leg to show that they could do that. So any talent, we are happy to feature, and do join us for that right after the service. Last call for the artwork in the back. As some of you know who've been here in the last couple of weeks, we have this artwork that we are happy to share with our community. There's still that beautiful framed map of Buffalo, which somebody should take. A painting, there's a couple posters, anything you want, you are welcome to have. And if you'd like to leave a love offering in the green hat, that would be nice. But honestly, our first motivation is just to get it out of here. So please do help yourself for that. As you know, again, in the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about being part of a citywide movement to talk about sacred dying. We had a nice, I guess that's not the right adjective. We had a meaningful discussion about sacred dying last Sunday. 3 people joined us. If you missed that, or if you want to just ask questions, find out more about that, I'll be doing that after the open mic and the potluck. So this is a chance to find out more about that movement. We also have 2 more sessions left in our Lessons in Truth class. We're not going to be holding one during the day this Tuesday, right, Josephine? So we're going to be having one Tuesday night, and you're welcome to join us, 6:30 to 8:30. They're really fabulous. As I mentioned earlier this morning, people have found them so meaningful, and a chance just to let your hair down, just to really talk about how to integrate your spirituality into your everyday life. And then I want to alert you to a new workshop that we're going to be presenting the first part of next Sunday. It's a 2-part workshop. The first part is next Sunday, and then the next part will be after the Mother's Day weekend, so it'll be on May 20th. And it's going to be on the Enneagram. How many of you know about the Enneagram or know what your Enneagram sign is? So not that many. And it's a really fascinating system that does have roots. A number of spiritual teachers teach it. It's a way of finding out your basic movement in the world and how you assimilate knowledge and experience, and how that affects your spiritual life. So our center manager, Reverend Jerry Bragg, is going to be doing this 2-part series. It's only $20 for both parts, and you can sign up in the back or just show up next Sunday following the service. But I hope you'll join us for that, because I think it's going to be a really good offering. And I think that's it. So let's bring in the kids.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
And then also now we have Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I do that. So we don't have the music, so you're just gonna share a little part of the song, right? Part of the lyrics. Hey, go for it. You can never know what it's like. You but like what it.
Oh, I don't know that one exactly. Let's go ahead and start the groove.
You can never know what it's like. You but like winter faces, it's like ice, and there's a cold lonely light that shines from you. You want to let the wreck you hide behind that mask you use. And did you think this fool could never win? Well, look at me, I'm coming back again. I got a taste of love in a simple way, and you need to know that I'm still standing. You just fade away. Don't you know I'm still standing better than I ever did? Looking like a true survivor. I'm feeling like a little kid. And I'm still standing after all this time. I'm picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So is everybody gone? So that was awesome. So if Noelia can do that, adults can do that too, right? That took a lot of courage. I also want to say I forgot to bring Miles Hatfield's thank you letter up here, but we're going to read it. It'll be the first thing that we do for the open mic. So if you contributed to Miles Hatfield's relief fund, please do stay. We'll do it first thing. This letter is unbelievable. He started in our children's church, and I told Valerie, I mean, as a writer, I was like, this guy is phenomenal. You've got to hear it. So we'll start our open mic with that. And now let's bless our children.
We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the presence of God in you, empowering you to do great things. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Wherever I am, God